I still remember that night at Dollar General like it was yesterday. It was a quiet evening around 4:30 p.m., and I was working my usual shift as the only cashier. The store wasn't that big, just 2 checkout lanes and a few aisles packed with household items, snacks, and whatever last-minute things people came in for. We weren't a busy store, especially on a weekday evening, maybe 2 or 3 customers at a time max. That evening felt just like any other. The usual people came in, some making a little small talk, others just grabbing a drink or a snack before leaving. I rang up a few customers, restocked a couple of shelves near the counter when it got slow, and kept an eye on the front doors like I always did. Then, around 5:00 p.m., a man walked in. At first, nothing about him seemed off. He had long, unkempt hair and was wearing dark sunglasses even though the sun was already starting to set. His clothes looked a little worn out, a faded hoodie, baggy jeans, and old sneakers, not unusual for some of the people who came through here. He didn't say anything, just walked down one of the first aisles and disappeared behind the shelves. I didn't think anything of it. Customers came in all the time, browsed for a while, then checked out. Some were weird, some were friendly, but most were forgettable. About 20 minutes later, he finally came up to the counter. He placed a single drink on the register. I can't even remember what it was now. Could have been a bottle of soda, an energy drink, something small. I scanned it. That'll be $1.89, I said. He didn't respond, just pulled out a few crumpled bills, dropped them on the counter, and waited for his change. The whole time he kept his sunglasses on, his face completely blank. I couldn't tell if he was looking at me or past me. I handed him his change and he walked out. No thank you, no nod, nothing. Normally, that would have been the end of it. But it wasn't. A few minutes later, while I was ringing up another customer, I happened to glance out the large front window and saw him, standing outside, just standing there. He wasn't smoking, wasn't on his phone, wasn't talking to anyone. He was just standing near the sidewalk in front of the store, looking around. I thought maybe he was waiting for someone. Some people loitered outside from time to time, waiting for a ride or a friend. I went back to work, but every now and then I'd look, and he was still there. An hour passed, then another. By 7:00 p.m., the store was practically empty. Only 1 or 2 more customers had trickled in. The man was still there. He wasn't sitting, wasn't talking to anyone, just hanging around outside, occasionally looking toward the window. I started feeling uneasy. By 8:30 p.m., I was getting ready to close up. Business had been slow, and I was still the only one working. I started my final tasks, counting the register, making sure the shelves up front were neat, checking that the doors were locked. The guy was still standing outside. I couldn't shake the feeling. Why is he still here? By 9:00 p.m., I finally locked the front doors. As soon as I did, I noticed him glance over at me. He wasn't right up against the glass, but he was still nearby, just standing there. I pretended not to notice, finished up my closing routine, and clocked out. When I finally stepped outside, he was about 15 feet away, just standing to my right. My car was parked a little further down the lot. I walked straight to it, trying to act normal, not rushing, but not wasting time either. I got in, locked the doors, and started the engine. That's when I saw him move. He turned toward the parking lot and started walking in my direction. I didn't waste time. I pulled out and drove off. I needed gas, so I stopped at a small neighborhood gas station about halfway home. It wasn't one of those big corporate ones, just a small, quiet place on the corner of an intersection. As I stepped out and started filling my tank, I saw headlights enter the lot. A small, beat-up blue car. It pulled into a space on the side, not near a pump, just parked. Then I saw who was in the driver's seat. It was him. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he just needed gas too, but he didn't go to a pump. He just sat there watching. I felt my pulse pick up. I told myself, don't panic, just get your gas and leave, but I hesitated. I thought maybe if I go inside he'll leave, so I did. I walked into the gas station, pretending I was going to buy something. And then he got out of his car and walked inside. That was enough for me. I didn't even pretend to shop. I turned right back around and walked out. As soon as I did, I heard his footsteps behind me. Not running, not rushing, just following. I rushed to my car, heart pounding, yanked the door open, got inside, and started the engine. As I was backing out, I saw him standing there, watching me. Then, as I was pulling onto the street, I saw him hurriedly getting back into his car. I turned onto a residential street nearby and immediately killed my headlights. It was dark, only street lights barely lighting the area. I made a few quick turns, twisting through the neighborhood. There's no way he saw where I went. I kept driving, heart still racing. I didn't go straight home. I drove around for a bit just to be sure. By the time I finally made it back, I didn't see his car anywhere. That was the last time I ever saw him. I worked at Dollar General for a few more months after that. Never saw him again, never figured out what he wanted. Never understood why he stood outside for hours, followed me, and showed up at that gas station. But even now, years later, I still think about that night. And I always wonder what would have happened if I hadn't noticed him in time.